Welcome, everybody, to the OPT Network. The month of September is Suicide Awareness Month, and there is nobody doing more work in Central Louisiana than Angie and Andy Dixon. They are the co-founders of SaveCenla. And this morning we're talking about how we can begin to have these conversations with people that we love and care about, and those conversations not be so terribly uncomfortable. We welcome Andy back to the OPT Network. Andy, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for those people, those one or two people who don't know your family story, your son Adam died by suicide, and now we're in the 7th year.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I asked you before we started recording, easy is not a good word, but does it get better over time?
To be honest with you, not really. Things are different. We've learned to do things different, do different things, but easier? No, it does not.
And so moving forward 7 years and knowing all that you know now, to talk about suicide and understand it, what's the one thing you wish you would have known 7 years ago? If there is one thing.
I wish I would have known that it is okay to talk about mental health and how to talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Adam suicided, for the first year or so after, I kept saying this was out of the blue. This was out of the blue. He didn't leave any signs. You know, there was no way we could have known. It wasn't until we took the assist workshop. You know, I was sitting in this workshop and they started talking about the little signs and the little signals that a person may be sending out. And Adam showed a lot of it. And I was blown away because it was in my face.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know it was about suicide.
Mm-hmm. And Adam was how old at the time?
He was 17.
17 years old, but it looked like on the surface he had everything going for himself.
It did. You know, 17 years old. He had his own lawn service, so he always had money in his pocket. That's important for a 17-year-old.
Absolutely.
He had a nice truck. He had gone to the National Guard Youth Challenge program, so he had his high set diploma. So he was a year ahead of the kids he was going to high school with. He was enrolled to start college. It looked like he had everything. Mm-hmm. In fact, 2 days before he died, we were sitting on the porch. We were baling hay that day, and we were just taking a break and talking just like we are now. And he turned to me and he said, "Daddy," he said, "you know you ruined my life by sending me to YCP." And I was like, whoa. I was like, "Well, Adam, how is your life ruined?" I said, "You got a very nice truck. You enrolled to start college. You always got money in your pocket." I said, "The girls love you. So how can your life be ruined?" And he kind of smiled at me, and we went on with our conversation. That right there was one of those signals I'm talking about. He was trying to tell me something, but instead of listening to what he was trying to tell me, I tried to fix it. I tried to tell him, look what everything you have, you know? How can your life be ruined? All I had to do was shut up, ask one question. Why do you think your life is ruined?
Mm. And let him respond.
And let him respond. All I had to do was listen. Mm-hmm. Instead, I tried to fix it. I mean, that's, as a dad, that's what we try to do. As a parent, we try to fix things. And all that whole last week, those last 4 days of his life, he sent me those little signals every day, and I missed it. I tried to fix things because, and I thought I did fix it.
Do you replay those last 4 days still, Andy?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day. Every day.
So what have you and Angie, specifically as the parents, what have you guys done for yourself to protect your mental health?
Angie's faith has always been real strong. I hope I've moved closer to God. And we got into the fight we started fighting suicide. We formed SaveCenla, and these assist workshops. That is like a great healing for me to be able to do that, and also going out into the community and doing interventions, suicide interventions, where a family member or a friend will call or send us a text saying, "Hey, I heard this person saying this." So we reach out and we talk to them, and those interventions, being able to help those people is a big major blessing, and it helps me. In fact, one young man, it was like I was doing an intervention with Adam. He didn't sound like Adam, but the way he talked, his body language, it was, and he did get some help, and he is doing fantastic.
Where did
right
that
now.
take you in that moment?
A lot of places, because I was like, why couldn't I have done this for my own son? And probably at every intervention I get that question, but I'm here now. I'm ready to help. And hopefully Adam's looking down and saying, "Good job, Daddy."
Wow. People just don't realize how tough it is for you and Angie and your kids, because the whole dynamic
Absolutely.
of your family changed.
Absolutely.
And now your kids have to watch you and Angie tirelessly. I mean, this is a job that doesn't ever end.
No, it does not.
It doesn't ever end. People call you day in, day out, no matter the hour.
That's right.
And then your kids have to be a part of that. And they're experiencing having to share you all and still having to deal with their heart's pain for losing a brother. How do you guys juggle that?
We just try to be as open as we can. I think we talk more, at least I do. Try to just be open with them. And they support us. They are a great support. They know what we're doing. If one night, me and my girls, Angie was on an Acts retreat, and we were walking out. We were going to church. They was all dressed up, and I get a phone call. And it was to go do an intervention. So I had to tell them, say, "Hey, look, I got to go." So now they know. If they ask me where I'm going and I say I'm going to do some SaveCenla, they know exactly where I'm going, and they know why. So,
Do you think it's a comfort to them, too, that the Adams of the world, that just like your Adam, who weren't able to articulate the inner pain, that now you go out and another family won't have to deal with?
I think so. I hope so. I hope so. We have some amazing kids, and they are just really supportive of what we're doing.
We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, we're going to talk about SaveCenla, and we're going to talk about the assist programs, so that every family, especially those families that think just like many families, that their kids are just going through puberty or they're just going through challenges. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they are thinking of taking their lives. When we come back, we'll talk about how to have that very important and necessary conversation. Stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning is Andy Dixon. He and his wife, Angie, and another couple came together and they formed SaveCenla. And you guys came together on a commonality of both having lost your children to suicide.
Yes, ma'am. We met Jackie and Anthony Boydlaw. I don't think it had been a year after they had lost their son Jerry to suicide. And Jackie and Anthony were hosting a walk for a national organization, and we joined them. And
were you able to talk to them at that time, or when did y'all kind of?
Well, just when we found out they were hosting the walk, and so we met with them, and it was on. We decided we needed to fight this.
When they told you about, losing their son, were you guys able to get some comfort or some?
I think so. Yeah. It's easy to talk to somebody that's experienced the same things you've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And them losing their son, you know, we had a lot of common ground.
Mm-hmm. And so when did y'all come together and say, let's do something, and not just talk about it, but let's really be about it?
So getting the walk off the ground, finding sponsors, organizing this walk, we went to a lot of different businesses. And it was like everywhere we went, people had a story about suicide. They were touched in some kind of way. If it was them personally that had a personal experience, you could tell because they would pull you off to the corner so nobody else could hear.
Mm-hmm.
But everywhere we went, we saw that this need
Mm-hmm.
for mental health awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the walk, people got help. There were actually people came forward during the walk
Mm-hmm.
saying, I need help. And then it was like the walk was over. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
And we said, no, we got to do something more. So all four of us took the assist workshop, and people started coming to us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we began helping people. And so we that's when we decided we're going to form SaveCenla. We're going to make this local.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work and help our community.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
And
it
so the
local.
money and the resources right here in our community.
Right here in Cenla.
So Andy, when you have the conversation and Adam first takes his life, was there a degree of shame or not wanting to talk about what really happened?
A lot of families experience that, and I can totally understand. I did not. I never tried to hide what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the very beginning, we didn't want to really believe that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. It was suicide, you know.
How were you able to just say, okay, this is what it was?
Strength of God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just face it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Because don't you think a lot of families want to believe that it's something else?
And I really did at the beginning. I was that family or that person.
Mm-hmm.
There was some doubt because I didn't want to believe that my son could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And but we let the detectives do their work, and when they said this is what we believe, and so we accepted it.
And then is that like him dying again?
Yes.
And so how have you been able to help families to face it? Because I think as parents, we all do the very best that we can for our children. And when our children miss the mark in some way, we immediately say, what did we do? How did we miss it? You know, so now you have the guilt of we missed it. Where did we go wrong? You know what I'm saying? And then you have that whole dynamic.
Yeah. The one thing I'll tell any family, all families out there, no matter if you're the mom, dad, brother, sister, the granny and papa, take this assist workshop. You will learn not only what to watch for, but if you see it, how to talk to them about it. You'll learn how to listen like I didn't know how to do. You'll learn how to get them to want to stay safe, how to get them to want to keep on living.
Mm. And don't you think that's the biggest thing? We don't know when we're faced with that situation. Right. We don't know what to do.
I would have had no idea.
And so for people who think, first of all, I want to talk about what assist is. And then secondly, I want to talk to people who think, well, it's nothing that I would need, because that's how I felt until I took the class. So first of all, let's talk about what assist is.
All right. So before I lost my son to suicide, if you had offered me this assist workshop, I probably wouldn't have taken it.
Right.
Because that'll never happen to my family. Okay?
Right.
So what is assist? Assist is an evidence-based program. It was developed by a company out of Canada called Living Works. But we do have a local connection. One of the main contributors to this program lives right here in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Assist teaches you, like I was saying earlier, what to look for, how to recognize or how to better recognize when somebody may be thinking about suicide. And then once you see it, how to ask them about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide is a very hard question for some people to ask, for a lot of people to ask. Because if I ask you that and you say yes,
then what?
Then what?
Right.
So it teaches you the then what. It teaches you how to help them. Okay? And it teaches you how to, we don't ever try to talk them out of suicide. We use this assist program to let them talk themselves out of it. It teaches you how to do that. And once they want to live again, let me back up. Not that they want to live. Most people don't want to die. Most people that's thinking about suicide, they don't want to die. They just want that pain to end. That whether it's like we think with Adam was maybe a chemical imbalance and he dealt with this a long time. Or maybe like the young lady you just interviewed, Emma. She said she had really never thought about killing herself. And it just kind of happened from what I heard in the interview.
That's exactly right.
But it teaches you how to get them to want to stay safe. And most of it is listening. If you can listen to this person and let them talk about it and get those pent-up emotions to come out, that's when that little part of them that still wants to live. Because if they're still alive, there's something inside of them that still wants to live. Until they let go of that ledge or they pull that trigger, there is a chance. And the earlier we catch it, the easier it is to stop it. So it teaches you how to do that. It sounds hard, but it's not. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Let's take a break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about who needs the assist program. And don't think that anybody is immune to suicide. It may not be somebody in your family. It may be a coworker. It may be a friend. But when you really understand how intricate the depths of this program is, I think every single person should be assist trained. Stay on point. We'll tell you how right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. This month is a tough month, and it's one of those months that we hope will not continue to be tough. It's Suicide Awareness Month. Just saying the word sometimes can be hard, but when we get past that, we will learn how to help to save lives. Nobody's doing any more in Central Louisiana than Angie and Andy Dixon and their co-founders coming together, creating SaveCenla. It's been in existence now almost 5 years, and countless lives have been saved. But first, ASSIST is an acronym. Tell us what it means.
It stands for Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training.
And a lot of people are sitting there saying, feeling the sadness of your story and your co-founder's story and others that we know that have taken their lives. And I think the common thread is people say, we're always looking for, how did we miss it? It could be your coworker. It could be your child. It could be a spouse. It could be anybody. Tell us about the workshop and how you guys really came into, okay, we're going to train people in our community so that this doesn't have to happen.
So the four of us took the workshop, and like I said earlier, immediately people started calling us. I guess maybe through the walk, and we saw how effective this is. I mean, this model that we use, it's simple. It's a lot of common sense knowledge, but it works. It has never let me down. Never. It works. And
did you think, Andy, once you got trained, did you think, will I be able to do this? Will I really
absolutely
be able to do this?
Absolutely. And I was very nervous. And then you get that first phone call, and you're shaking like a leaf because The first one was somebody that we know. And
When you get that call, okay, so you go back to your training and you know you're ready because there's a lot of role playing and the workshop really gets you ready. So on that first call, what's that moment like for you?
so the drive over, we did a lot of praying, and then we trusted the model. Once we got there and we got started, because Angie and I did the first one together, and we trusted the model and we worked that model, and it works. I just can't say enough about it. It's this assist program wasn't just thrown together.
Right.
It was everything about it. Every little word about it works. It's just amazing. They changed the program every once in a while. You know, they update it. And the last update they had, I didn't agree with. I was like, I like the old way better. Until I saw the effect of it. And I was like, okay, now I can see why they did that. Because it just that little change, and it's about the inside the workshop. It just brings something out a lot quicker. It's just more effective.
So how do you go about, because a lot of people have connected with SaveCenla through your work.
Yes, ma'am.
But there's still a lot of people that need to connect.
Absolutely.
So how do we help people? Because I was one of those people too. I was like, I'm not going to take the workshop. I mean, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Until I made time. And I can tell you that it is 1,000% worth your time. How do we help everybody, whether you're a professional, because there was a lot of professionals in the class that, you know, they get credit hours for taking CEUs, but there were a lot of lay people, a lot of people that they had dealt with it and had lost someone. But it can happen to anybody. How do you help people to understand the importance of getting trained?
I don't know. I'm tired of talking. I just keep telling Adam's story, and if you haven't been affected by it, it's hard. You know, it's hard to get people to understand that it could possibly be your wife in the future, or your husband, or your daughter, or your son, or your son-in-law.
But you never think it won't happen to me, because your family, for all intents and purposes, y'all did mostly everything together. Both parents in the house. When you talk about dysfunction, looks like it's not there.
That's right. That's right.
But when you look at the picture family, the picturesque family, and it happens to your family, it just speaks to it can happen to anybody.
It can happen to anyone, and especially since COVID started, the numbers are rising for everybody, and people are just isolated, and they don't know. You know, never once growing up did I ever hear you can talk about mental health. Every time I ever heard something about mental health, it was in a negative way, and it was hush hush, whisper, and then you didn't hear about it anymore. So everybody grew up thinking you don't talk about mental health. You know, you can break your arm and it's okay to say something about it, but not mental health, because you're weak or you're crazy, you know, and everybody's just scared to talk about it, but they're scared to talk about it because they don't know what to do. You know, they don't know how to help. I actually had a young lady tell me she shared with a family member she was struggling, and that family member got up off the sofa and walked away. It wasn't that family member didn't love them. They were probably overwhelmed. They had no idea how to help. This assist program teaches you how to help.
Wow. And so she opens up and they walk away. And they're not walking away because they're walking away. They're walking away because they probably just don't know what to say.
They have no idea. because they were never taught that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we first started having babies, we took all those classes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to get ready. Never once did they mention anything about mental health. And then all through raising them, we never once heard anything about a child's mental health. You know?
And you never probably talked about it like most families.
No, absolutely not. In fact, if I ever said anything about mental health, it was in a negative way.
Mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was part of the reason that Adam and everybody else that's struggling with mental health won't come out, or they don't feel like they can come out and talk about it. Because, you know, you hear somebody die by suicide,
Right.
and somebody make jokes about it. Or on movies, at parties, you hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to go kill myself." They make jokes about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that, you know, that's part of that stigma. And so people that are really struggling, you know, if we're in a party and I'm talking to you and I make a joke about suicide or mental health, you may not be struggling.
Right.
The person
Right
in the room, how does that make them feel? Do you think they're ever going to come to me
Right.
and talk about their mental health if they hear me making jokes about it?
Wow.
So it's to get people to talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like the stories like you just did with Emma and
Kevin Hines.
Kevin Hines. When those people go out and tell their stories, at our walks, we get people to come up and tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
That lets people know that it's okay to talk about it.
Right.
I'm not alone. There is somebody else struggling just like I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps, you know, give them some courage.
Absolutely. Let's take a break here, Angie, but when we come back, I want to talk about the next Assist workshop and how you can connect with it, and also the walk that's coming up in October, bringing people together, understanding that we're all more alike than we are different. And we find out about those differences when we start to be open and honest, and that's what these conversations will hopefully do. Stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Andy Dixon is our guest this morning. He's one of the co-founders of SaveCenla, and we're talking about how to be able to say to another person, I'm not okay.
That's it.
I'm not okay. And not have to be shamed by it, but to get the help that you need. I believe every teacher, when we heard the principal say she took the Assist course workshop and was able to use it right away.
Yeah.
When we talk to police officers who have gone out with somebody holding a gun to their head and them not knowing what to do, every first responder should take this course.
Absolutely.
Every layperson should, every person should take this course.
Person. Anyone 16 years and older should take this workshop.
And I'm telling you, when you start the workshop, here's the thing, Andy, most people, because I didn't, you don't really know what to expect. But you and Angie and the people that you have in the group really make it comfortable. How has your comfort level come? So that you, not only are you comfortable, but you help the group to embrace being present.
Yeah, it's
Why you get tickled?
because it's the Holy Spirit. That's for, you know.
It is, and I told you, I said it's spiritual.
It's
spiritual.
I mean, the workshop itself is not a religious program.
No.
But I don't know. As far as for me to make people feel comfortable, I'm just myself. I just open myself up.
Because you were not a speaker
No.
before this.
No, I didn't like to talk to people too much.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for people wondering, is it a religious program? It's not a religious program. And it is for people who are religious, people who are not religious, people who believe, people who are non-believers. It's for any person that understands that you might be in a situation one day where you have to save someone's life or help to save someone's life.
Absolutely. It's It's for anyone. We, at the end of the school year last year, as you know, we got to start going into some high schools.
Yes.
And we were kind of nervous, going in. Are these high schoolers going to take this serious?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to open up? And they blew us away. It was amazing. And it's amazing how much knowledge about suicide that these young people have already.
Mm-hmm.
And they're helping their friends already. And it was a major blessing to go in and be able to show them how to help them correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually went into a high school. We did 2 workshops back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody from that first one came in when the second one started and told us, I've already used it. I used it on the bus ride home last night. He noticed a young lady, and he was able to do the intervention, and she got some help through that.
And let me tell you, these are not just stories. My son and I, he was 20 at the time. When I asked Angie and Andy, I said, how else can we help? As we think, we're telling the stories and we're helping. And Angie said, the way that you really help us is to take the course. And I lamented. I was like, I don't have 2 days to do it. And so we said, okay, you know what? We don't want to just talk about it. We want to be about it. And we go and we take this course. And our son, not too much longer after that, was able to ask one of his friends, are you thinking of taking your life? His age, a young lady. And you know what she said? Yes.
Yeah.
And he was able to help her in that moment. And you know what she said to him? Thank you. Nobody's ever asked me that.
That's right. So let me back up to something you said a while ago. And we're always trying to encourage people. Reach out for help. Reach out. If you're struggling, reach out for help. But in reality, it is almost impossible for that person to reach out for that help because they don't know who they can talk to about mental health. That is why it's so important to ask about suicide, to learn how to be that person. Because when you ask them, so when I notice somebody they're going through something, I see those signals, and I ask them, are you thinking about suicide? What I'm really doing is giving that person permission to talk to me about suicide, about their thoughts of suicide. Because when Adam turned to me on that porch and said, Daddy, you ruined my life by sending me to YCP, he was really asking me, help me, Daddy, ask me about suicide. That's what he was really doing. But he couldn't, because of the things I had said in the past, he couldn't come out and tell me that.
Right. Because he might have thought that you would have seen him as weak.
I seen him as weak or crazy or mental. And so he couldn't. So we always ask people to reach out, but it's a sheer act of courage for them to reach out. If you get a family member or a friend tells you, I think I'm going to kill myself, consider yourself lucky that they were able to say that. A lot of people say, if they say that, they're just looking for attention. It could be. So give them some attention.
Give them some attention.
Give them some attention.
But here's the thing. Sometimes people are not going to tell you.
They're not going to. They try to tell you. They send these signals out. Sometimes they're not even aware that they're sending these signals out. So, me back up. That was a Wednesday that Adam told me about ruining his life. The Monday morning, he left to go cut grass. He had a lawn service.
His normal
day. But it had rained, so he got to cut 1 yard. But his other customers, the yards, they said wait a couple days. So he came home. I was walking out of the house to go to Lafayette to renew my TWIC card. And I said, hey, Adam, you done for the day? He said, yeah. So, well, why don't you ride with me to Lafayette? And he looked at me with a look of surprise on his face. And he was like, sure. I actually had a gut feeling. The thought came, he's surprised that I wanted to spend time with him. So he went to take a shower, and I got confused. Like, why would he have that look of confusion? Like, I wanted to spend time with him. That was another signal.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't follow it up. I didn't ask about it. You know,
Right.
that was the depression.
Mm.
You know, telling him that he wasn't good enough for me to want to spend time with him,
Right.
or something like that. I'm not real sure, because I never explored it.
But as you look back on it, you can almost, because it would just be normal for you to spend time with him, right?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together, and that's what gave me that feeling. Like when he like leaned back and like said, "Sure," you know, it was a signal, and I missed it.
Did he go with you to Lafayette?
He did. And on the way up there, I could tell he was kind of upset about something. And then he said he was hungry. After I got my TWIC card, so we stopped to eat, and he didn't touch his food. I said, "Adam, I thought you was hungry." He said, "Oh, you eat it, Daddy." He said, "I'm not hungry." So he brought it home with us. You know, he couldn't make himself. He said he was saying he was hungry before, but for some reason he didn't eat. I didn't follow up with it. You know, I didn't ask the right questions. I didn't know.
Have you been able to forgive yourself, Andy? Because you couldn't have known.
Some days, you know, I play beat me up sometimes, but it's hard. It's very hard. But we only can do what we know how to do. That is why I push so hard this assist program to let those families know, or to show them how to know what to do.
So before we've got to let you go, October 5th and 6th, you and Angie are going to be having some assist workshops. Tell us when and how can people sign up.
Okay, so in Winfield,
Okay.
we're having the next workshop, and that's October the 5th and 6th. They can go to SaveCenla.com, click on the menu button, and then click on Assist and sign up. We are working on some more workshops right around that time. So just keep going back to SaveCenla.com and checking, because we're not this big organization that takes months and months to plan something.
Right.
When we get an invitation, we can throw it together within a month or so and get it done.
Right. And we'll be shouting it out on radio. We'll be putting it on our social medium. So you can go to SaveCenla. You can call us and redirect. And the walk is going to be next month.
October the 16th is going to be in Morrisville at the Courthouse Square. And
it's grown bigger and bigger every year.
yes. Last year we had to cancel because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
And this year I've been on the fence about canceling it. And Angie said, no, we need to have it. Too many people get help, get comfort, find comfort.
And it's outdoors, and you can social distance.
Absolutely.
And if you don't feel comfortable, you can also wear your mask. But we don't know just yet, because the numbers are not out, about how COVID is affecting people who are already struggling.
We know the suicide rates have skyrocketed. We know that.
Absolutely.
But the walk helps people find comfort, helps people to make that final step in reaching out. To get a little bit of trust and get one of us on the side and talk to us. Our first walk, we actually had a young lady turn to her mom and said, "Mom, I didn't know how to tell you this before, but I've been thinking about suicide." And I know of one man who called me after the walk, our last walk, and told me, he says, "Andy, I've been battling depression for a long time, and I was too scared to get help." He said, "But the day after the walk, I went, and I'm getting some help for it."
Absolutely. You know? Andy, thank you and Angie and your co-founders for the heart for people. We know it's challenging, day in, day out, year in, year out, but you keep doing the work.
Yes, ma'am. As long as God keeps giving us the strength, we're going to keep going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Indeed. Hey, everybody, SaveCenla.com is how you can connect. Stay on point. We're back right after this.